Hello, everyone. Thank you for helping on. My name is Ransom Onyema. I'm a final year graphic student based in Nigeria. I'm also a medical writer and also a YouTuber. So today I have an amazing guest speaker. Mind you, Lashell, I'll give you the pace to introduce yourself, but I want to talk about a few things. You know, in my country, Nigeria, as you are a senior colleague already in the field, we call you guys chiefs. So I don't know. As far as your senior colleague, we
Mhm.
have to call you a chief. Whether you're male or female, we call it the chief. That's one
Mm.
of the things we were taught in psychology in radiography. But yeah, but I don't know how your country works, but never mind. So, Lashio, could you introduce yourself to the audience?
Absolutely. As you know, I'm Lashell. I'm a 20-year plus sonographer. My entire ultrasound career has been centered around maternal fetal medicine. So I was one of the lucky ones that was able to go straight into MFM medicine sonography soon as I graduated. A lot of times they say that you have to come with so many years of experience, and so I was lucky enough to be trained from the ground up, and it's all I know. And I feel like it's a rewarding field. I'm glad that I chose the specialty, and my passion into education here recently was just simply because I felt the void that was missing, where a lot of things that I've learned as through my 20 years is because it was self-taught. And so there weren't a lot of resources out there. There weren't a lot of Lachelle's, or I can name others that took the time to educate others, especially the new grads coming into the field. And so this is why I recently branched over to education, just because I felt that void.
Hmm,
Mhm,
amazing.
mhm,
We have some questions about your transition.
mhm.
Furthermore, so thank you so much, Lachelle,
Sure.
for introducing yourself to the
Mhm,
audience. She has a lot of experiences, and you have to pay attention if you're a radiography student or looking forward to venturing, specializing in ultrasound.
mhm.
Um, you have to pay attention because she's
Yes.
amazing. So the first question for you, Lachelle, is
Mhm,
okay. So you wear many hats, from advanced perinatal sonographer to educational director and content creator. What inspired you to blend clinical practice with education and content creation in OB-Gyn and fetal echo? Tell the
mhm.
story.
The blend simply came, as I mentioned earlier, the void. Once I started precepting with students in ultrasound school, I realized that the lack of resources. And so I just thought, like, why not? Why not start? I started actually with my LinkedIn page, where I started just, doing ultrasound tips and tricks of the field. And then I got a lot of positive feedback. And so then that's when I started to tutor. And then from tutoring, I started like, oh, maybe I can make some resources, some visual aids to help those who are trying to pass their boards. And so it just kind of just branched gradually from there. I just noticed the void, and I just was like, okay, let me fill it with one of or two resources that I can.
Hmm. And funny enough, is I'm part of those people that are really benefiting from your
Oh.
resources.
Mhm,
You're amazing. I've seen a lot of cases. You've posted the ones I'm familiar with and the
mhm,
one I'm unfamiliar with, and learning every day. And thank you so much for your your transition. Pivoting from clinical practice to becoming an educational content creator, because
mhm,
not many people take that transition. Because a lot of people, especially in my country, Nigeria, it's really hard to see radiographers that are lecturers. They always look for them. Many
Mm-hmm.
people have pivoted into clinical practice, and it's amazing that you're, doing what you're doing. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
so much
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
for the answer. So the next question for you is, what are some of the most common misconceptions students out there or early career sonographers out there have about fetal echocardiography, and how do you address them in your teachings?
Mm-hmm. Okay, it's a couple. I would say first and foremost, for some reason, fetal echo is like not a stigma, but it's almost like it's like you're scared. They're scared to even try. They just think it's. I mean, granted, it is hard. It is hard, but as if anything, you start from the basics and then you just branch from there. And so the stigma behind fetal echo is just simply I don't want to try. It's just too hard. I'm not even bothered with it. But if you think about it, when you're doing OB and you're looking at the baby's heart, even in your screening exams, that's part of a fetal echo. And that's your basics, and you just branch off from there. So the misconception of it being so hard or challenging, it is, but it's not. If you really put in that effort to read over your notes and just learn the foundation of the fetal heart, I'm telling you, it is not as challenging as it may seem initially.
Hmm,
Mhm. it,
amazing.
it really isn't.
Mm.
It really isn't.
It's wow. I've rotated,
Mhm.
when they're doing
Mhm.
echocardiogram on a patient, and it was a bit, and the intricacies in echocardiography is quite complicated.
Mhm.
Like you said about, you have to be grounded first. You have to know the knowledge first
Yes.
before venture into that specialty. Thank you so much,
Mhm.
Lashio, for that one. So the next one is, as a registry review specialist, what
Mhm.
strategies or tools do you recommend for preparing effectively for the RDMS and RDCS exams for people trying to write exams?
First and foremost, once you schedule your exam, so say like you schedule it 3 months ahead. So from there, once it's scheduled and your application has been accepted, it's like a timeline. I would say initially in the first maybe 2 weeks, start with just reading over or grasping all of your notes. First and foremost, everything, look at the outline that the test may show. A lot of times, depending on what specialty you're going for, they have an outline of key points that's needed or necessary to know for your exam. So you want to print that out. And as you gather your notes, make sure it's centered around that outline because those are your points that's going to be on your exam. From there, read flashcards, reading. I will say always just read over notes. I wouldn't even attempt to do questions until like the last 30 days prior leading up to your exam test. Before that, you're reading, you're going over notes, you're going over the basics, you're writing notes, you're writing those points down. And then the last 30 days, right before your exam, that's when you start doing the questions. Everything that you read over those 60 days, now you're trying to retain it, recollect your knowledge that you learned, and just do your questions from there. Still go over your flashcards, but you want to get used to the question format and how to answer them prior to the exam. I would say that would be a good strategy.
Hmm,
Mm-hmm.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not quite familiar with these exams. I know there are people that are gonna watch this video that are really interested to writing these exams maybe in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And when registering for the exams, are there recommended textbooks maybe on the website someone can buy something?
Um, that's a good question. I'm trying to recollect when. Maybe on ARDMS site, they may have some suggested readings for you to follow. But even if it's not on directly on ARDMS website, just a Google search, because there's others that have taken the test, and it may be like a chat site or so forth that may say these are recommended textbooks to use to follow. LinkedIn, for example, if you just do like a basic poll and say, hey, what did you guys use for your exam? Oh, you're gonna get, feedback there as well. But I'm not sure if it's posted on the ARDMS site, textbooks, but there's a way to find the text that's associated with it.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
for that one,
Yeah.
Lashell.
Mhm.
We have two more questions to go because
Okay.
I know you're very busy, so you have to
Oh, it's
wrap this up.
easy.
So,
It's fine.
okay, so with advancements in prenatal imaging,
Mhm.
with emerging technologies or techniques, do you believe that this will transform the field in the next 5 years?
You said with the emergency
With the
technology.
advancements in prenatal imaging,
Oh,
with new technologies and
mm,
new techniques popping
yes,
out, do you
yes.
believe that this will reform the field you're currently in the next 5 years?
Absolutely. Right
I agree.
now, oh yeah, absolutely. Right now we're in the era of AI. And initially I was one that thought, it's only because I didn't know for sure all what was involved with AI. And I was one of those that thought, oh, it's trying to take my job. Oh, AI is going to take my job and I won't have a job. But that's not the case. With these new technologies, especially what AI has to offer, it's almost like a co-pilot or assistant to make my job easier. And I've seen it already. I've been lucky enough to work on the Z20, and they have a ton of AI features that I can finish a fetal echo if the baby's in a good position. I have all of my measurements, all of my annotations in 10 minutes. And
Hmm.
that was unheard of before that, because meanwhile I have to measure everything. I have to manually use the calc and so forth. But with these AI features and the new technologies, you can hit a button and it measures everything for you correctly. And so I feel like if anything, it's in the next 5 years. Oh, I know it's just gonna get even better. It may get to the point where instead of me even have to put in my text or my annotations, I may be able to say for a chamber or something, and it may come on the screen. I mean, I would love that to just use my hand to scan and that's it. But so yes, it will definitely change things for us, but I feel I see a positive side with the new advances of the technology. I see a positive.
Amazing. Thank you so
Mhm,
much for that
mhm.
one. The last question for you is, okay, balancing clinical, educational, and digital roles can be very intense.
Mhm.
Everybody knows that. So, how do you manage your time and stay current in all areas without experiencing burnout?
Burnout is real. And
Yeah.
when I mean, I get, because we're humans, so when I get to the point where I feel overwhelmed, I take a break. I take a break. I go see a movie. I spend time with family even more, just and just doing that, just taking my mind off of it for a little bit. I don't know, it just kind of reset me in other words, because I mean it's real, and it can be overwhelming, especially when you're doing both clinical and then education and then content and things like that. But I find that rest helps. It's very helpful. Now, staying on top of the new things and new advances that are in place, I just keep in tune on LinkedIn. There's several doctors and sonographers that I follow that are always placing articles on their page or so forth. Or I just simply Google what's new, what's the new advances in ultrasound or maternal fetal medicine, or what are some new techniques that we should follow. And so that's usually how I stay abreast on all the recent things, just to, because you have to stay current. I mean, things are changing all the time in the field, so you want to definitely be in front of that. So that's usually, but
Amazing.
rest is helpful. You need to rest. You need to rest.
Amazing. Amazing.
Mhm.
Wow. This is amazing. Lashell, thank you so much
Mhm.
for your time today.
Mhm.
Um, So if you're wanting to connect with Lashell, her details will be on the YouTube description below. If you have
Okay.
questions, you can reach out to her. Or you can drop some questions in the comment section. If she can reply, I'll send her the questions as well. So thank you so much, Lashell. It was a great honor to have you talk us
Thank you.
through about your journeys and especially your transition from clinical practice to becoming an educational director and also a content creator. Amazing. And how
Mhm.
you're, balancing all those roles, and thank you for those nuggets right there. So, do you have any last words for the audience?
Yes, I'm very proud to. I want to let everyone know that I have a workbook, a fetal echo workbook coming out. There's no other workbook out there like this. And so with this workbook, it should be out within the next 2 weeks. It's going to really break down those challenging, I guess you're going to say those challenges that we see with fetal echo. It's going to break it down to the point where it's like 1 + 1 = 2. And so this workbook is going to be amazing. So definitely stay tuned and for that, because you definitely, if you're going to sit for your boards or if you just want to increase your knowledge in fetal heart, it will be a great resource in that case. So I do want to
Amazing. Amazing. Cardiology in general is a very complicated
Mhm,
specialty in medicine, and
mhm,
echocardiography as well is very very complicated because
mhm,
I know what I saw during my clinical rotation. I
mhm,
was it was a bit complicated, but thanks to God for my chiefs, that directed me one or two things to do. So yeah, once the book is out, yeah, you guys should. That's the reason why I told you guys to connect with Lashell, so you can know, get notified when the workbook is um out, because if you're prepping for those exams is sometimes going to be intense if you don't have the necessary materials to up your game. So this workbook, be expectant for it. So thank you so much, Lashell. It was
mhm.
an amazing honor to have you.
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah, amazing.